I couldn't be any more excited right now.
Those hands were filled with poop-stained underwear, which he allegedly smeared on the face of his victim.
Do you realize what percentage of your opening conversations are about bathrooms, Merrill?
Sometimes when you look through the little hole between the stalls, you can see another guy. You should just look him in the eyes the entire time.
I think you have the wrong expectations for what's going to go down here. We're going off the rails here. Maybe football instead.
As always, next year. Happy National Pizza Month, happy National Frankenstein Day, and happy Halloween, everybody. Welcome back to the Sandlotcast, podcast about our uber competitive fantasy football league where we dip, you dip, we dip. With me this week, I've got Anthony. What's going on, Ant?
Can we just quit this and just go with the pizza month? Because that sounds tasty.
What do you think I've been eating all month?
Pumpkin.
Kryptonite.
Pumpkin pizza, actually.
Nice.
And not with us this week is Hillers. He is at a baby class, whatever that means. And, Nick.
Learning new insults for us all.
So we have our typical standard sub host here in Nicholas J. Makita. Nick, how you been, man?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing? Thank you for having me back again.
Well, thank you for filling in on such short notice.
That's what I do.
We're doing pretty good here. So Halloween, guys, you guys going to any Halloween parties, dressing up for anything, or?
Go ahead, Anthony.
Well, for me, we had Fantasy Fest here in Key West this past week, so most people are a bit hungover. It's kind of a week long where you wear a different costume every day of the week. Sometimes you don't wear a costume, a lot of booze. So Halloween's just like really for the kids around here.
All right. Cool. Nick?
Well, I'm dressed up right now as Hillers, and if you give me a second, I can actually add more to my costume. I'll be right back.
He's leaving the podcast. This is why he's our substandard host, folks, because he just leaves the podcast at a moment's notice.
This is already going downhill.
This is bad. Hey, it's been 2 weeks. We're a little rusty. Give us a break here. But yeah, man, it's kind of a crazy season actually. Looking at it, we've got I think three. We got our 3 division leaders so far, right? And then we've got 6 teams at 6-5. 6 teams at either 6-5 or 5-6 fighting for the 2 wildcard spots right now, and even the division leaders don't have the divisions yet. So there's still technically 9 teams in the playoff hunt with just a few games left. So it's pretty crazy.
It is kind of interesting because in the beginning of this season, it really was polarized, where it was like 6 at the top and 6 at the bottom, and some of those teams the strong teams have kind of whittled their way down into mediocrity, and some of the other teams that were doing awful, that were making fun of about Toby Gerhardt, and that all of a sudden that team is kind of a powerhouse. So, we get that. I don't know why we're surprised about it every year, but you kind of get that, merging.
Yeah, there's usually a merge.
Some kind of merge.
Mm-hmm. So, Nick, are you back with us?
I thought I had rum. I didn't, so I'm going to have to use a bottle of whiskey, and I'll just have to get some Coke and start mixing them and drink and get progressively drunker as the podcast goes on. So,
get some vodka and do a vodka eyeball.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that. Okay.
Yep, we're going to do that. It's going to happen.
Okay. Because Hillers does that at every podcast. You might miss that. But
I have missed the last couple, so maybe if you say he does, you guys wouldn't steer me wrong, so okay.
In the spirit of Halloween, though, we want to start off with a little hybrid draft that was Nick's idea as a sub-host. He said, if we're going to do a Halloween show, let's do a candy draft. Nick, can you explain to us what a candy draft is?
Well, sure.
And how this will go down?
We're going to have 3 rounds. We're each going to be able to pick our favorite candies, and obviously they can't overlap, and then we'll compare them at the end, and we'll see who had the best candy draft. You guys feel free to play along at home if you're listening.
Yeah. But we can't hear you, so whatever. Although we do have a viewer.
Is this a snake draft, or is this just...
Oh, shoot, an auction draft. No, let's just do a snake draft.
All right, so then
who starts? Who's got first pick, Nick?
Meryl, go ahead, the host.
I think first pick Nick makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, first pick Nick.
Oh, I wasn't planning on getting the first pick.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to go with my old classic. I'm going to say Hershey's bar with almonds.
Ugh.
Sucker. I'd take Jamal Charles. No. I'm going to go Reese's, man. Any kind of Reese's, I guess. I don't know, like...
You got to be specific.
I mean, really, I can't pick. They're so anything with chocolate peanut butter, I'm in. But all right.
What are the pieces?
No, not the pieces. That one's. I take that back. The pieces stink. I'll go with the Reese cups, the big ones. The big
Reese
filler.
Cup's a good one. It's a good one. That's the Arian Foster of candy, I think.
Indeed.
Big, strong. Massive. I'm gonna go Milky Way as my number 1 pick.
Oh, what a reach!
Strong pick. I think that's a strong pick. A lot of value in that pick.
Thanks. Yeah, there is a lot of value. And number 2, not to be forgotten, the Starburst, regular flavored.
Oh, going fruity.
Wow.
Going fruity.
I'm surprised you didn't go Skittles, Anthony.
No. Skittles. What happens with Skittles is you get like 6 of them in your stomach. One of them comes back up, and then that's the end of it.
Yeah, but they're pretty beasts,
Yeah.
All right, so for my second pick, then, I'm going to take Twix. Big Twix guy. Again, chocolate peanut butter, little crunch in there. Got 2 of them.
So you're going with the peanut butter one, not the caramel one?
Aren't they both the same?
No,
You know what I like about your team thus far, Mike? You have you're kind of going with your backup guy. You're going strong with your workhorse, and then you got the handcuff.
I got my handcuff.
Two Reese's, 2 Twix. I can't wait to see what's next.
Well, I look in my Halloween bag after I go trick-or-treating every year, and it's like, I still go trick-or-treating every year, by the way. And I look at it, and I'm like, oh, wow, look at that. I'm out of Reese Cups. Oh, here's my Twix. It's like, that's just what my go-to when there's no more Reese Cups. Whose pick?
Mine. I'm going with Almond Joys.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
You can share with
coconut
people?
in them?
Wow. Anthony's hating my draft.
Coconut has no place in this draft. Why would you bring coconut in?
Dark Horse, man. I'm telling you, you wait. This draft, there's going to be all sorts of crazy candies going, and it's going to be something like Almond Joy is just going to be very consistent all the way through, and it's just going to be a candy that you can rely on, and it's going to be fine. Not for everyone, but it's just going to be that pick that's going to be like, oh, you know what? I'll trade you for that Almond Joy.
Is this that old, Almond Joy's looking good, they lost a lot of weight, in the best shape of their lives.
Almond Joy's had a great training record. It's the Ron Daney candies is what this is.
And then they tear their nuts on the first play.
Exactly. All right, you're up again, Nick.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't
last
planning.
pick. Make it worthwhile here.
I know. Well, apparently you guys keep shitting on all my other picks. I got to make sure that this one's good.
It would taste better if we did that, actually.
It would. I'm trying to think of there's a couple. I think it was called the Caramello, the chocolate with the hollow chocolate with the caramel in the middle.
Okay.
Nick's Halloween bag. It must have been
sleeper.
the one that.
Does that have to be a Halloween bag?
When you're a kid and you separate like the candy that your parents get and then the candy that you want, the candy that your parents get, I think, is like what's in Nick's bag, like all the stuff, the kind of second tier snacks here.
That's why I'm winning this draft, is because I'm going for the good stuff.
Going for sleepers. This is Hiller's unproven strategy.
Hiller's upside.
Unproven guys. So.
Hiller's diabetic attack.
That's right. All right, so for my final one, I'm going to switch it up. I got enough chocolate peanut butter. I feel like I got to diversify my skill set here on my team. So I'm going to go with the Sour Patch Kids. I feel like they're a good solid kind of bring it all around. I got some sweet, now I need some sour in there. And then I just go boom, and I got the whole thing. So my final pick will be Sour Patch Kids. Welcome to the Black Widow, Sour Patch Kids.
All right, so my final pick, I know that we have a viewer. Dude's name is Greg, and this pick's for him. I'm going with the Rolo, baby.
Bosco?
No, different dude. Rolo. And he'll
Rolo.
know why.
Rolo better than the Caramello, I think.
Do you just pull your teeth out when you eat those?
Yep. Pull them right out of my face. All right, can we talk about football?
Yeah, let's get to that. Let's get to our factoids first here, Anthony.
All right, got some factoids coming at you. So this is a minigame recap. Highest scoring wide receiver was the Week 8 minigame, so $10 goes to Dave for Jeremy Maclin posting 30.7 points. And just an interesting tidbit on this one, he beat out Emmanuel Sanders, who had 30.6, so 0.1 is the margin of $10 on that one.
JD's season continues to go down the tube.
Sucks for JD, but good for you, Dave. And then in the season-long mini-games, we had 1, 2, 3.5 changes in Week 8. There were quite a bit of high-scoring dudes. So congrats to Nick, who is now the sole proprietor of highest scoring single week quarterback in Tom Brady, 44 points.
I actually
Lucky Brad didn't start Roethlisberger.
credit actually goes to Brad. Actually, I can
No.
because if Brad had started Ben Roethlisberger, he would be having the prestigious honor of having this award right now. But right now, thank you, Brad.
Ben Roethlisberger, the Tootsie Roll of quarterbacks.
Well, don't worry. Brad did now has the highest scoring single week bench player, of course, in Big Ben, 6.8 points. I don't think anyone's going to be beating him on that, so that'll win Brad $10 in the end.
Damn it.
Gronk is now the highest scoring single week tight end with
Suck it, Hillers.
32.9 points. That's going to Andy, and then we have a tie, which means that if it ends this way, you'll split that $10 between Evan, who's the week 2 defense, at 30 points, and then Merrill for Miami Dolphins this week at 30 points.
Ooh.
So don't spend that $5 in one spot.
I'll spend it on a giant Reese cup.
And
The
that's
Fast
what I got.
Break, another good Reese candy, by the way. The Reese's Fast Break. So, okay. Well, thanks for those factoids, Anthony. Let's get into our team overviews. Our team overviews here, boys. As I said, it's kind of we've got 3 teams out of it. I think at this point we can all agree on that, right? The Choop, the Weenye, and the Assassins. I think they're done at 3-8.
Yep.
Okay. So.
Yep. Those guys
we're
are
still
out. We're just going to play spoiler.
Yeah, so we're still going to discuss those teams. But this week we're going to start in the Ivan Drago division. We're going to go from the bottom up in each division just because we've been going top down recently. So we'll start with Los Chupanibres, who are now sitting at 3-8. I don't know how they got here. I feel like they had a good start, and then all of a sudden, like, everything has just gone wrong. They've lost 7 in a row, so I guess that's one way to do it. They were at 3-1, and now they're at 3-8. So really bad stretch here. Anthony, I'm going to come to you first here, and we had a little discussion preseason about Matt Ryan and whether he was worth $20 as a keeper. Do we still think that? Because I said I was wrong there about 3 weeks in. I said I was wrong because he started out hot, but his last 4 games he's gone 15, 13, 13, 18. Do you still think he was worth that $20?
It's amazing how high on the Matt Ryan train everyone was. It's like we were all passing around, taking a hit, and then it just somebody dropped it like right in a puddle. Is what happened. Yeah, Matt Ryan has been. I mean, talk about regret. I mean, you kind of want to say he's inconsistent, but no, he's been consistently mediocre at best. He's been. I don't know what his struggles are. Typically, he's a lot better at home than he has been. I don't think even with the weapons that he got back this year, healthy weapons with Julio and Roddy White back full strength. I don't know. He's not the fantasy quarterback that he once was.
Right.
The Falcons are losing. I don't know what to do. And I mean, I kind of applaud JD with going with Alex Smith last week, especially out in London. But that didn't work out for him either. I don't know.
Yeah.
JD's in a tough spot, especially the quarterback position. I don't know. Just
Nick, Nick, anything he could have done differently, or anything that he can do differently from here on out that might, obviously he's looking at next season at this point, but anything that you could look at this team and say, wow, this is probably where it went wrong, or this is what I would have done differently?
To be honest, I was actually trying to look up to dispute a fact that you guys just said about Matt Ryan and that he wasn't worth the $20. Because in hindsight, was Adrian Peterson worth $61? Was any guy worth, look at all these guys that went in the draft saying, like, oh, well, looking back, they weren't worth this. I mean, in hindsight, 2020, yeah, so you can't really compare that to saying anything. I'm trying to see where Matt Ryan was, and I couldn't see him in the top 50 of quarterbacks, so I think I was doing something wrong.
Yeah, you got to look at all quarterbers.
No, I was looking at all quarterbers, and somehow
he's number 9 right now, but he has not had his bye week yet, and he's going to drop a few more spots this week.
Well, and if it's, he put up 93 points this week.
90, yeah. Oh, JD.
He put up 93 points last week. This week, well, 60 in a doubleheader. You can't have that.
He's been declining. I mean, but you look at his team, right? And it I don't know. It's weird. Like, it seems like it's okay, but it just didn't.
And then, so aside from just making a trade, in which case you're looking at guys like no one.
Okay.
What
are you talking about?
I was looking like moves that he could make, but you want Emmanuel Sanders, and that's about it on this team.
Right. He could deal Frank Gore maybe, but Gore even right now is.
What are you getting for Frank Gore? What are you
going to get for him? Yeah. it's tricky. You'd be getting like a marginal keeper at best probably for Frank Gore at this point because he's been marginal as a starter. So yeah, not too much. Just a bad run for JD. I don't think there's much he could do different. He made that Rashad Jennings trade, which looked pretty good for him the first week or two afterwards, and then Jennings went hurt, and that's where it all really started going wrong. So
yeah, and then Quick got hurt, and
same kind of deal last year. JD started off strong, and then he just went downhill. I don't know what's going on.
He just got decimated by injuries again, like everyone else did. But I mean, Jennings, Ridley, Quick, when they go down, and then it's like, okay, well, what do you have left?
Yeah. All right. Sorry, JD. Tough season, but been good effort this year. So we'll I'm sure you'll be making moves to position yourself for next year. Assassins are our next team here. They're also at 3-8 and pretty much eliminated from the playoffs unless something really strange happens. And just to kind of sum up the season it's been for the Assassins, they've had a lot of points against. I think they've had most points against this year. Roethlisberger had 60 points on Brad's bench last week. That's just the kind of thing. But unfortunately, even if he did start him, he still would not have won. So that's the kind of season it's been for Brad. Yeah, it would have been a 46-point difference, and he still would not have beat. I forget who he played. Dad Dix maybe or somebody like that. But yeah, I don't know. So Nick, we'll go to you first here. You haven't weighed in on Watson's team in a while here. When you look at his team, what do you think?
It's a typical Watson team. He has some kind of way that he starts off hot enough that we kind of get false hope with it, and he has a couple of guys that hit, and then he goes and spends all his money, free agency money, on the next great, like, flashy, with the hottest. He is the exact example of what's wrong with fantasy analysts. Actually, he is this guy had a big game, I must go get him, spend all my money, and acquire him. He's kind of like Hillers, but kind of in I'm just going to spend the money it takes to get these guys. He's very reactionary. He doesn't think into the future when it comes. It looks like he doesn't do anything. He reacts. He's
care to give an example of that, care to give an example on what you mean by that?
Sure. I don't know. I just feel like that's just what his. I don't even know what he's done actually when he's done that. I don't know what his free agents are that he's picked up. He has a good team.
Yeah. We'll go to Anthony. We'll go to Anthony here. Anthony, is there anything he could have done this season that would change things, or anything he can do to either position himself for next year, or or I don't know. But,
of course he can, but it's Brad, and therefore he won't. He has a great set of core keepers. I really like the value of Russell Wilson on his team. Russell Wilson's a franchise fantasy quarterback. Andre Ellington is an RB1 type of player. When you back it up with a one-year guy you got like Foster, you have a great core. So what does he have to do? He has to make a couple of moves that strengthen his team for this season and for next season. And then what does he actually end up doing is checking out fantasy football in week 2, not responding to several trade offers. I think he got people in a frenzy when he put some things on the block this week, but I know I'm not the only one that sent him offers, followed him up with IMs, and then you get crickets back. So, if this guy continues to lose, it's his own fault. And I think that he's the inactivity or the incommunicado is starting to wear on some folks, myself included. So
I shoot you not. I tried talking to him about a trade one time. I IM'd him, and it said Brad is typing. I was like, sweet, I'm getting a response, and then nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe his energy is
like it's like, I know that you got the message. You were getting ready to reply to it, or you were chatting in the wrong window, yet you still won't respond to me when I'm trying to get a trade from you. Like, that is even more frustrating, because then that's like the blatant attempt of that is just straight like, oh, it's not that I didn't get it. It's that I am choosing to ignore any kind of things that you're talking about.
I will say he has not checked out on fantasy. I've seen him twice in the last couple of weeks, and he's talking about he's in on it, and he's frustrated, and he was still in on it until like 2 weeks ago. Well, he was still in on it 2 weeks ago when I first saw him, before he had lost 2 in a row, I think. And the trade thing I can't explain. That's like, there's no excuse for that. You need to respond to trades, Brad. That's something that you have to do in this league, and it will start wearing on people. And it's a shame when that happens. But I will say he is paying attention, and he does. He did make moves. He had to spend a lot of his free agent money early in the season because of some injuries. But the Alfred Blue stuff. But at this point, I think we're talking about Arian Foster probably, and maybe to a certain extent Vincent Jackson, I guess. Those are kind of the guys who are at that price. But I'm going to say that I think Arian Foster might be even a keeper at that price, because you look at his numbers, and everybody says he's old. First of all, he's 28 years old. He's not that old, right? I mean, 28 is not that old for a running back. I think it's around the same age as Jamal Charles, actually. And he's $45. He'd be 48 to keep. Right now, Arian Foster, who has missed a game due to injury, has been every bit as good as DeMarco Murray this season. Mm-hmm. If you look at it on a per-game basis, he has been every bit as good as DeMarco Murray. But nobody's really talking about it. He's been quietly this good. So if DeMarco Murray went back into the draft next year, what would he go for? I mean, he's going for $50 or $55, right?
Sure.
So I think Foster is potentially a keeper. I mean, it's going to take a lot to get him, I would think, from Brad. So that's what I'd say on that. But tough year. I think he did have highest points against, right? Or
does, but again, he also has one of the lowest points for. Not the lowest, which is a different for him, but
he's
still number 4 points for and the lowest points for.
He's 8th in points for, so he's middle of the road basically in points for and breakdown. But
that's so bad.
I don't know.
Did you look at it? Did you just like?
I was looking at the power rankings page.
Okay.
Okay. Next team, Duplex and Mediocrity. They find themselves at 6-5 and are the lead in the wild card race right now. They found something here in Denard Robinson. Anthony, do you believe in Denard Robinson in this team? Do you think they're gonna pull it out here?
Sorry, my kind of lagged out. Do I think Duplex is going to pull it out here? Yeah, because they have a guy that's named Andrew Luck that puts up 30 to 40 points every week. That always keeps you in the game, and his supporting cast, while they all haven't hit sort of consistently, are still good enough to bring him into the playoffs. I mean, he's got a great record, 6-5. Bring him into the playoffs in at least a wild card slot. And all he's got to do is get Andrew Luck to hit. And I believe the Colts have a pretty favorable schedule at the end of this season and then into the playoffs. I'm looking at it. Week 12 is Jacksonville, 13 is Washington, 14 is Cleveland, 15 is Houston.
Yep, good division too. Yeah,
not bad. So yeah, he's got a really, really, really strong chance.
Nick, are you buying Denard Robinson?
You know, it's weird to say this. I'm actually kind of buying into Jacksonville's players as fantasy relevant. I think Denard Robinson and Allen Robinson could very easily be
the Duplex family Robinson. Oh, he doesn't have it.
Oh, there we go. I like that. I think that but those two guys combined are going to start putting Jacksonville on the map back to being fantasy relevant again. And with Blake Bortles,
what about Toby Gerhart? What about Toby Gerhart?
Oh yeah, there is that. There is the $48 Toby Gerhart too to think of too. But yeah, no, I think and they still have. That's a different discussion. Yes, I believe in I believe in Denard Robinson more than I believe in Toby Gerhart, and more importantly, the Jaguars do. So.
Okay. So you think this is kind of his RB2? I mean, I feel like he might need. I think he needs Sproles back just in case. Obviously, I think if Sproles comes back and is like Sproles can be, I think that's a nice flex guy he can plug into because Torrey Smith's fine, but I'm not a big believer in Torrey Smith, and I'd rather count on Darren Sproles than Torrey Smith. I think down the stretch. But yeah, I think I've consistently said I think this is one of the strongest teams, and with Andrew Luck there, what else can you say? I mean, he's 30 points a week. That's like 3 good running backs he's got just in one spot.
Luck, Lacey, Benjamin, and Macklin.
Lacey's been okay. He's I guess he's been pretty good lately. He started out.
He started off slow, but
yeah, but he's kind of come on. Yeah. Okay.
Luck, Lacey, Benjamin, and
Macklin. Is I don't know Denard Robinson. He was a quarterback in Michigan, and he was electric. I mean, it's easy to be electric in college, but I mean, he was a really good runner. He was one of them running quarterbacks, and he did a great job. So it's good to see him getting a shot in the big time. I've had my eye on him for some time. I just slept on it.
Yeah. Well, your roster's full of 3 running backs already, so you can't really put another one on there. Next team, the Black Widows, 9-2. I was looking at this team. I was thinking about it. Like, is there really any difference in my team from this year and last year? Other than Peyton Manning, really? I mean,
no.
Like last year I had Russell Wilson who was getting like 15 to 20 points a week, we'll say. Right now I've got Peyton Manning who's getting 30 to 35. So now I'm basically getting 15 to 20 more points a week just from my quarterback side. I mean, that is that it really? I mean, is that the difference there?
Apparently that's the secret. Yep.
Okay. I mean,
have an elite quarterback and you win.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm trying to think what's different. And yeah, I mean, I've got Brandon Marshall and Jordy Nelson, which is great. But Brandon Marshall's been pretty piss poor this year. He's been terrible, except for one game where I couldn't even start him because he was hurt. So I don't know, Nick. I know, Nick, you weighed in a little bit on the quarterback discussion via email, but looking at my team, I mean, can you say that there's a discernible difference between this year and last year other than a quarterback who's scoring 20 more points a week?
No, I mean, when you put it like that, I mean, no, because who was your wide receiver last year? I mean, Nelson's been just a baller this year.
Josh Gordon?
Yeah, Gordon last year?
Yep.
And then, yeah, no. I guess there's really not. I mean, it's funny that I never really thought of that like that, but yeah, so I mean, who? Yeah. And you had Wilson was your quarterback?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, insert everything we said about last year. Just say, oh, well, look, you have a quarterback now, so...
Yeah.
Mike, what do you think about Percy Harvin on the Jets? Do you think that helps? I mean, I think it hurts the fantasy relevancy, but I mean, how much do you think it hurts, if you think it hurts at all?
I think it helps. I don't think it can hurt. I mean, he was pretty... Yeah. He was never getting the ball. They were never looking at him, and when he was in Seattle, they were using him in a way where his fantasy relevance was almost
Well,
gone.
Here's the thing. He was on Seattle for 1 year, and he was out for 10 weeks. So
yeah.
he came back, and then he had a game, then he had to bye a week, and then it's like, oh well, he's hurt, and then the playoffs came, and he was healthy, which does not matter in the playoffs, which does not matter for fantasy sports, and then it's like then he came on. So everyone has this false oh well, Percy Harvin was so great for Seattle. No, Percy Harvin was irrelevant for Seattle. Except when it came to the Super Bowl. But by that point, their defense was just killing it. So it really didn't matter. So I agree with you, Merrill, that Harvin's value can only go up on the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
So do you think $14 is keeper territory for a guy like Harvin for next season?
Right now, I'd say no, but, we'll see in the next...
Who knows what happens? It doesn't... Merrill's not thinking about keepers. Not right now. Merrill's looking at the trophy.
Yeah.
I would be if I was Merrill.
I will say it's not crazy. It's not out of the question. But right now, I would say no. But I think we'll see in the next few weeks, right? I mean, we'll see how the Jets use him. They were at least trying to throw him the ball downfield, which is nice. Which is nice to see. So, we'll see how that goes. But I think that does help. But yeah, Peyton Manning's great. Thank you, Evan, for that trade. I appreciate that. Apollo Creed division is our next division here, and we're going to start at the bottom of that with a team that is 5-6. Only one game out of the wild card, and that's the Iron Pirate Redux. From one podcaster to another here. And Anthony, we'll start with you here. Nick's team has been pretty good. They've come on lately, especially with Tom Brady coming on. I mean, me and you, we talked about quarterbacks enough, I guess. But with AJ Green out, this team's kind of hung around. Is this a team that can make a push for the playoffs?
I mean, I remember literally setting off the Brady alarm. I'm turning off the Brady alarm, and because of the strength of having a guy that puts up 44 points on your team, any team with an elite quarterback's got a shot. So, losing AJ Green. One stat that I think is valuable here that is used often in baseball, but maybe not so much in fantasy. What is it? Wins above replacement, is that the WAR? Yeah. That's a WAR stat. I think that if you looked at the WAR stat for a quarterback, Vice. So what I'm trying to say is AJ Green goes down, instead of getting 20 points, you put in a guy like Brandon LaFell and you get 8. So that's a 7-point difference.
Well, AJ Green's not getting 20 points a week either. AJ Green's like what? What's he average?
I mean,
14, 15 maybe.
And I think also my math was terrible, but the the point is a bad Tom Brady versus a good Tom Brady is like 20, 30-point difference here. So you're talking about the difference between a win and a loss in fantasy. So, yeah, Tom Brady, in summary, Tom Brady back, Nick's team good.
All right, I like it. Don't need no conjunctions. Nick, how you feeling about your team, man? What do you think? I mean, you're looking at it, and your boy AJ Green's been out, but you're hanging around. It's
not going to matter. AJ Green's going to come back this week, so that might help me out a little bit. But I don't even know what. I'm boned week 10, and that's a doubleheader, and you can't be boned in that. I'm going to most likely go 0-2 that week, which puts me at best case scenario 500. So realistically, I should be getting ready to fire sale because yeah.
I wouldn't. I mean, you can't quit. You never know, man. I mean, other people.
No, but I'm saying that realistically, if someone said, "Hey, I'll take Ahmad Bradshaw off your hands because I need a running back, and here's someone that here's a potential guy. Um, it would be something that I would entertain just because you never know what's going to happen. But I would rather take the offers now and just say, fine, I'll build for next year, knowing that 500 is not going to win me a wild card or the division. So
Right.
Okay. I am very optimistic, but I'm well aware of what's going to happen next week. So
Yep.
unfortunately, it doesn't matter how great I do this week. So that's kind of where I am. Is that it's kind of a little too late at this point. AJ Green hurting me. Tom Brady starting off slow. There was a point where I just needed Tom Brady to get 18 points, and he got 10.
Yeah, he was really bad.
And it just didn't. And them's the breaks, and that's it is what it is.
Yep. Okay. Well, let me ask you this: did you draft the Seahawks?
Yes.
Okay. So we had a discussion preseason about spending extra on the defenses are going to perform and that are going to be ones that you can plug in every week. And the Seahawks right now are the 26th ranked defense in fantasy football, at least by our scoring system. They've scored 31 points on the year, which is about what my defense scored last week. So do you guys still feel that way about defenses?
Well, hey, Anthony, you spent $60 on the number one running back who was supposed to be a baller, who was supposed to be great. How do you feel about that pick? Is he even here?
Yeah, I'm just I guess I'm starting to.
I understand what you're saying, Merrill, but you're looking in hindsight, saying, "Oh, well, you did this when you should have done this." You don't know what's going to happen in the league.
No, I'm not looking at hindsight, Nick. I mean, that's kind of a bad example because if Adrian Peterson goes down, who do you go get to replace him? It's hard to replace running backs in this league, right? If one goes down, it's hard to find.
I am saying, but your point is also saying that oh, well, how much money if you leave money on the table, it doesn't matter how much money you spend on any position. Ultimately, you do want to leave the table spending $200.
I'll agree with that part.
I completely understand that.
Maybe
but
I didn't.
The day known that you were going to get this guy for this much. Yes, I rolled the dice thinking that the Seattle defense was going to be a whole hell of a lot better than what it was going to be this year, and it didn't pan out. But it happens with every player at every position that you roll the dice and it doesn't pan out.
But it happens. But the argument is it happens more at defense than it does at other positions, and the stats back that up. And I'll say that, but I will say the leaving the money on the table thing, that's a valid argument, and we all pretty much left money on the table this year, so sure, why not, I guess. But I guess my other point is, and maybe I can reframe it this way, that we don't know how good defenses are going to be this year in fantasy football basically until the first couple of weeks have been played, right? So why spend the money early when you are going to want to use your free agent money or whatever to find one later? I mean, it's when there's someone who's probably going to be one of the first people you replace, I guess is my point. So.
I think that there is. I mean, it's all based on stats from the previous year, and you go off of what history is saying. History was saying that the Seattle defense was good. So you roll the dice and you realize, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and it didn't pan out this year. I would not spend $5 on any defense. I spent $5 on what was the number one defense and what was I assumed was going to be another top 5 defense this year, and it didn't pan out that way. So I'm not going to say that what I did was wrong. Okay. I'm just going to say that what I'm saying didn't pan out for me.
All right. We're getting our producers telling us we need to speed it up a little bit here. So Hiller's. Okay. So anything on Nick's team, Anthony, or we're pretty. You mentioned Brady, so we're good. Sorry,
I wouldn't count Nick out, but that week 10 is a real. I didn't even notice that. That's going to be real tough.
Yeah, that's going to be the make or break for sure. I think Nick, you've got a shot. Your team is strong, but we'll see. Hiller's Upside is our next team, also at 5-6. Hiller's made a interesting trade this past week. We'll get into that, I guess. He's not here to speak for it, but he ended up trading away. Which bum did he trade away?
Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks, who actually has outscored Shane Vereen, I believe, since the trade happened. But he traded away Brandon Cooks for Shane Vereen. Anthony, when you saw that, what did you think?
I kind of thought Andy got ripped off, and it's not just because he got Cooks, but it's also because he had to drop Devontae Adams in order to do it. So really what he did is he traded away a pretty low-value running back, a good value running back, who, I mean, yeah, it's New England, but Vereen is still pretty much seated as kind of like the pass, the passing threat running back. And then he also dropped, the emerging rookie in a pass-happy offense for not a lot of money, and then replaced it with a triply more expensive, rookie in New Orleans that has been okay.
Right.
So I just don't really get it. really get it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what's the difference between Devontae Adams and Brandon Cooks? I guess, right?
Exactly, and I think there's probably little difference. And then he also gets rid of Reed. So
Yeah. Nick. So.
Going back to what you're saying about the trade, I mean, Hiller's made out like a minute on this. Like, we'll talk about the trade more on Andy's side of things, but
okay. All right. So looking at Hiller's team, then, Anthony, what you mentioned that he's a team. I think early in the podcast you mentioned he's a team that is really kind of coming back a little bit here. Do you believe in this team? I'm not sure if you've talked about this team in a while because I think you missed the podcast a couple weeks ago.
It has been a little while. Hillers really needed a win last week. He needed to go into his bye week section with a winning record. I kind of have a similar view of Nick's team as I do of Hillers, where he's got an elite quarterback. He can come on strong. He's got good players. But this is one of his major bye weeks with Aaron Rodgers out. So this is almost a must-win. And then he's still got that Week 11 glaring him in the face, where I believe about half of his team is on a bye week.
Yeah.
And then I'm even looking at his team now, and he's got a bunch of people on a bye in Week 10.
Two.
The best of which is Shane Vereen. But I mean, you're heading into this stretch. You need a winning record. He's got to win out. I think he's got to win out.
Nick, what do you think looking at Hiller's team?
I mean, we talk. It's funny how it's Hiller's upside, and it was like all these high value, these like highly touted guys that were if they hit, it was great, but they were probably like it was just like swing and misses is what his strategy was. Like, I mean, we all laughed at him about it, and we call it Hiller's upside, and this, that, and the other thing. But if you look at it, it's Aaron Rodgers, who's proven, DeMarco Murray, who's proven, Julius Thomas, who's proven. Like, and that's actually who's really.
That's all you need. Right?
That's all he needs. That's all he needs. So it's not so much. It's like none of these guys are actually paying off for him. Like these bums that he picked up are still bums. Like, you're not think after well Hillers. You just walked in with the same keepers, and you're just riding those keepers to an extremely ridiculous season. Golden Tate, I will give you, Hiller, that was the good pickup, and you lucked out because Calvin Johnson got hurt.
That's exactly it.
Golden Tate's not good. Calvin Johnson not playing is what's helping Golden Tate do this. Like
Matt Stafford's like the guy or girl who can only have one best friend. Like that's it. Like it's like one best friend at a time. That's all they can hang out with, right? So when Calvin Johnson's there, it's Calvin Johnson all the time. But when he goes down, hey Golden Tate, you're my new best friend.
So
that's why for sure. But you're right. I mean, and Anthony goes to what you said about quarterbacks, right? You have a 30-point quarterback, makes up for a lot of holes in the rest of your lineup for sure. So he can definitely make a run if Rodgers puts up 30 to 35. Now, if that hamstring injury that Rodgers had, luckily it came before a bye week, but if that thing lingers a little bit, maybe that hurts him a little bit. But we'll see. Overall, Hiller's hanging around, as John Malkovich or Teddy KGB says. End Zone Bombardment Squad, next team. Another podcaster. Well, it's 4 in a row, I think. 6-5, sliding a little bit lately, but has slid a little bit in the middle of the season, but has come back with 2 straight wins. Sitting there, I don't know. Anthony was a little frustrated coming through in the middle of the season there, but Nick, when you look at Anthony's team, I mean, we're pretty high on it coming into the season. Are you still feeling that way? I mean, you still think this is one of the strongest teams?
Antonio Brown's still great. Antonio Brown, training for Antonio Brown is basically what's, I think, kind of realistically keeping you afloat, Anthony. He is your week in and week out point scorer. Matthew Stafford, Marshawn Lynch, and really that's it. Are your they're not really your workhorses, but they're not. And Roddy White, I guess. Who did I say? Matthew Stafford. I don't think that they're being consistent. And Chris Ivory are not being consistent enough for you. That I think that's kind of what's hurting you because Marshawn Lynch, Keenan Allen's not doing anything. Really isn't doing what you want him to do. Marshawn Lynch isn't doing what you want him to do. Roddy White's not doing what you want him to. I don't know. I understand your frustration with fantasy football, Anthony. You have a team that should be doing well, but it's not. So.
Yeah.
Well, the difference is that I don't have a quarterback that puts up 30 points. My quarterback has done it twice this season, and I believe that that's really the difference. I mean, a lot of my guys are doing okay. I agree that they're not consistent, but they're not doing poorly. It's just I'm not getting 30 points out of a quarterback.
Which is leaving you in the 80, 85 to 95 point range every week,
Yeah. No, I think
which
so.
kind of leaves you at the mercy of your opponent. Like if your opponent has a good game, then you lose. If they don't, then you win. Like that's kind of
Yeah.
the deal. You're right though. I mean,
I really like the Devontae Adams. I appreciate that. I had to drop Adrian Peterson for that. So good luck everyone on tonight's waivers.
yeah.
That's not a pickup you can shake a stick at either.
No, that could turn out pretty good, for sure.
And then I'm on my fourth tight end, not because I'm choosy, it's because I keep getting injured. So the Jason Morrow era has begun.
May it be as long as the Colt McCoy era in Washington. Yeah. So no, Anthony. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, Stafford, and maybe when Calvin Johnson comes back, maybe if you can just hang in there until Calvin Johnson comes back, maybe that's when Stafford starts really putting up points again, and that's when you start. Because you started out 135 the first week, but then it was, you didn't score 100 again until this past week. So, maybe things are starting to turn around.
And by the way, these are my Marshawn Lynch official sunglasses. He designed these sunglasses. If you see the beast mode.
Are you at all worried about Marshawn Lynch?
No, this is the week that he comes back strong and he will start munching defenses, eating touchdowns for breakfast, then kicking the ball into the stands through the uprights. He's going to do everything. It's time. It's beast mode time.
It is time. I think it's definitely time. All right. First place team in this division is the Dad Dicks. They are at 8-3. They are a team that some of us predicted would slide, and since then they put up 2 straight wins and find themselves still in first place. So I think the slide is, if it's going to happen, it needs to happen now to prove some of us right. But the Dad Dicks still hanging around here. Nick, looking at Anthony, we'll start with you on this one, I guess. Looking at the Dad Dicks, you think they're going to hold on and pull out this division here?
Of course they will, because they have the easiest schedule from here on out. I mean, these guys are just falling. Danny is falling into luck left and right. He's got the Black Widows this week, and Mike, I don't think you have many major buys, but next week he's got Nick, who's on his terrible bye week, and week 11 he's got Hillers, and Hillers is on his terrible bye week. So basically, he's getting 2 more wins.
Yeah,
so
he's going to win 2
regardless
of those at least, right?
Yeah. So regardless of what he's doing, he's gonna. Worst case, he's ended up 10-6, and I'm pretty sure that's a division win.
Yeah, that's usually is. That's very rarely is 10-6 a wild card. So
really whatever.
Yeah,
he'll be fine.
Nick, Jimmy Graham's back. So are the Jimmy Breezes strong as ever?
That's when you have that and Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
And Sammy Watkins for that matter. Those are his 4 pieces. That's that's what his team's built around, because Benny Cunningham, wide receiver 2 and flex isn't his.
Well,
strength.
don't forget Clay Harbor. Clay Harbor down there.
Oh, true, Clay Harbor.
Yeah, I mean, that's Why is he on the roster? I'm confused by that. Anyway.
But no, I find it funny because I think this is the first time that I'm actually noticing it, is that there's a lot of teams like that. There's this theme with the teams that it's like, oh well, you have if you take away Jimmy Breeze and Le'Veon Bell and Sammy Watkins, like what does this team have? It's like, what else do you need? Like you don't like those are 4 P. That's half your lineup, and it's like it doesn't matter if.
Yeah.
You have your weak in other positions. Those are your 4 key positions, and those are your starters. Then you're in great shape.
The commonality about that is an elite quarterback, though, because you look at my team, and I can name 5 starters that anyone would probably immediately plug in their lineup, except for Matt Stafford.
Right. Yeah, it does make a difference for sure. And I will say he's got Jay Cutler down there on his bench. I don't know if there's a move that can be made. Maybe he can deal Cutler. Is he ever going to play Cutler? I mean, I guess he's there as an insurance policy if Breeze goes down, but when does Breeze go down ever? And what is Jay Cutler doing on your roster? There's teams out there that I feel like would want him. He's like a top 7 quarterback right now.
Anthony, would you want Jay Cutler on your team?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like he could make a deal maybe for maybe another like an RB2, because right now he doesn't really have an RB2 on his team. So, maybe he could deal Cutler, and maybe for a flex RB, not an RB2, but like an RB that isn't Benny Cunningham, that he can plug in. So, all right, who's the next team we have here, guys? I'm very ill prepared for this podcast, but the Weenyays, Masters of Elegance. Weenyay, sorry, it's silent S. They find themselves at 2-9. They've been kind of going down this road all year. Unfortunately, it's just one of those. It's kind of their time in the box. Well, see, I'm glad they're in the league because this was me the past few years before they came along. So thank you, Andy. I appreciate you taking that one for me. But they've just had, pretty much everything that's gone wrong could. And they always say you can't win a draft in the first round or with your first pick overall, but you can lose it. And I think it probably all started with LaShawn McCoy on this team, who's just been kind of average at best when this team's come along. So Nick, have you talked to Andy? What's his mood here? You got any sources inside the Weenyay locker room that can tell you what's going on there?
I think that doing the auction league the first time was like that was his excuse last year. Was like, oh, I've never done an auction before, so I didn't really know what to expect. But this year I'm more prepared, and I think that he's still underestimated how much preparedness you actually need to have when you come into an auction draft.
Oh, come on. Everyone agreed he had a good team after the draft, and he definitely was a contender, and his guys just didn't pan out.
Yeah.
I mean, LaShawn McCoy being as bad as he has no elite quarterback, and his number one guy just didn't work. I mean,
yeah.
And actually, his number one wide receiver in Wes Welker didn't work either. I mean, Wes Welker, I think I think in the podcast we said he's always overlooked, but every year he's always $25 and always worth the money, right? I mean, this year he was not.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, his wide receiving core has been a disaster for sure. Deshaun Jackson's his best, I guess.
Well, he does have Brandon Cooks now.
Wes Welker with Peyton Manning. How is he not getting more points? I just don't get it.
Because there's too many mouths to feed.
Emmanuel Sanders. That's how. Emmanuel Sanders just jumped Wes Welker in the. I mean, there's only so many. Yeah, there's only so many passes to go around, right? Even in Denver, and you've got, Julius Thomas. What's that?
I'm sorry, you frozen. I froze too.
Okay.
I mean, then it comes back to the trade that it's like he's out of it, and then he makes a trade that, quite frankly, is a very Hillers-esque trade. That it's like, oh, I'm trading something like.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, maybe he didn't want to be part of that Patriots backfield, and I guess I can understand that, but I feel like he could have got more for Vereen, maybe. I feel like because he got Cooks, who's $3 cheaper than Vereen. It's not like he got a great keeper value out of it. And if Brandon Cooks went into the draft again next year, I don't think he's going for $15, which is his keeper price.
And he doesn't even start Brandon Cooks.
$10 guy. Yeah.
And if he starts him, he wins.
Yeah. So, oh well. Rough year, and that's definitely not a move that cost him the season or anything. But I think overall his guys just didn't perform, and what can you do? I mean, we liked his team coming out of the draft, and just a rough year for Andy.
Yeah.
So peanut butter jelly time. Still in the hunt. Brett, manager of the year here, still in the hunt at 5-6. He is a game out of the wild card. He's been a little lucky schedule wise, but yeah, I mean, at this point that doesn't really matter, right? He is where he is, and if he can find a way to get home, then he will, or find a way to get to the playoffs, he will get to those playoffs. But yeah, Anthony, I mean, is this Brett's? Is he going to make it? Is he going to cause an upset here? Or is the tiebreaker going to get him?
This one, I think no. I think the answer is no, because I think guys like Hiller's team and Nick's team have a better shot from the 5-6 position. Losing Doug Martin this week, I don't think helps you. To be honest, I don't think RG3 coming back even helps you, because then you're kind of tempted to start him, and he's going to be a stinker. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but Brett did put up a heck of a season after losing his entire team in the first 5 minutes of the season.
That was a rough week for sure. He's 11th in points and 11th in the breakdown, so he's definitely had some. So while his player luck has been bad as far as people getting injured, his schedule luck has actually been pretty good. He's caught some good matchups there. But Nick, when you look at Brett's team, do you think he can make the miracle happen and
Yes.
find a way into the playoffs?
Absolutely. And I don't think that the Doug Martin thing I think Doug Martin thing is actually beneficial to Brett because now he knows I am not starting Doug Martin ever again on my roster. I can just leave him on the bench and be fine with it. Like that's fine. Leave in Baltimore, and I think is startable. It's solid enough that it's going to work well for him. You know, he's going to have to move someone to bring back RG3. I mean, he can't dump Martin just because we're in a keeper league and someone else will pick him up. I don't know who you're going to drop for it, but I mean, Larry Fitzgerald.
Flacco.
Yeah, I guess Flacco. You know, Andre Williams. Williams is great. Fitzgerald, you can't throw him back, and he had a great game last week. So who knows if that was a fluke or what that was. I think Carson Palmer is the quarterback you ride for the foreseeable future.
He's been good.
Yeah, because if you're going to play the matchups, you're going to be wrong. You're better off just save yourself the stress, start Carson Palmer, and you're going to be fine.
Yeah, Palmer 22, 19, 25 since he's been back. So I mean, that's good.
Alshon Jeffrey's his wild card this week. But then even next week, the only person he loses really is Jordan Reed.
Yeah.
Like, he's fine. I think Brett can make. I have faith in Brett. I think that this team can do it.
It could. He's at a big disadvantage schedule-wise. He's again 11th in points for, so he's really going to need to start putting up some high points, especially week 10. If he can put up a high score in the doubleheader week, that'll help him make up some ground. But if it comes down to tiebreaker, I don't like his chances. However, 11th in points for, 11th in the breakdown. It's not like his team's been going gangbusters, but he's been hanging in there. You know, I don't know. I think it'd be crazy if he made the playoffs. Like, it would be insane if he made the playoffs. So kind of rooting for him a little bit, just to see that happen. But yeah, good job, Brett, this season. And I don't know if there's a move, that he can make or a trade he can make. Like, who would he deal? Maybe he could deal Doug Martin to somebody. I don't know what he'd get for him though. So, yeah, but okay, Sex Cannons, the next team here. I feel like Evan's been flying a little under the radar this year. Like, the hate for Evan's team isn't there, and it's just he's kind of there, but he's definitely, I think he's actually in a wild card spot right now. No, Anthony's got the second one, but he's right there. I mean, he's like 50 points behind Anthony for the wild card spot. Nick, what's the deal with Evan's team? How has he been flying under the radar, and should we be a little more concerned about it?
I think that Evan's team, it was bound to happen, and Evan finally made a move. Evan finally made a move that ended up not turning out to be beneficial for Evan, which was trading for Alfred Morris and giving away Peyton. He had more faith in Nick Foles, which was smart at the time. I think that move just ended up. Well, you guys are saying that it's having Peyton Manning for you is the difference between your team. Not having Peyton Manning on Evan's team is the difference between him and this.
Okay.
Is not having, because he still has Alfred Moore, he still has that running, but he still has the running backs to be able to do it. He still has Demaryius Thomas, and Julio Jones. He still has the right people. It's just that this is the I gave away Peyton Manning side of it.
All right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Anthony, I know he's been trying to unload Lamar Miller for some upgrades elsewhere, I think. Is there anything Evan can do, or is Evan just kind of going to be hoping to wild card in and get a tiebreaker? Or what's, when we look at this team, what are we thinking? Has anything changed, I guess, in the past few weeks?
Yeah, I think if he can make that deal for an upgrade at RB, that would help him, but not having that quarterback again, that's huge.
Yeah, he's averaging 19 points where other quarterbacks are averaging 28, 30 points. So
he's also struggling at tight end, and that never helps. I know exactly what that's like. So he's cycling him out, and he seems to be cycling him like 1 week late, and then gets rid of him 1 week too early. It's
right.
I feel your pain.
But on some level, though, it's having. Like, I understand what you're saying, but having Demaryius Thomas and Julio Jones offsets that, though. Alfred, when your pieces are Lamar Miller, who's been good the last couple of weeks, Alfred Morris, Demaryius Thomas, Julio Jones, and Eric Decker, who Decker's not been as good as you wanted him to be. You still have a lot of good pieces on your team.
It doesn't offset the quarterback, but yeah.
No, it offsets the tight end. It offsets like your tight end.
Sure. Yeah, but yeah. That's true. But again, if you don't have that quarterback and he's looking to make up 10 points when he plays Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning, where does that 10 points come from? You need that tight end slot to contribute in order to make up that spot. Or when you play Hillers is going to pound you at tight end. It's Thomas. So yeah, it sounded really bad. I realize that now. All right, so Evan's
Hillers would do that too. He loves that.
What do we think of Lamar Miller? I know Evan's trying to unload him here, and I've been talking to him about Lamar Miller, and I've kind of let him know what I think. And C.J. Spiller too, I think he's been trying to trade. Of course, that was before he was hurt. But what do we think of these guys? I mean, is there a reason that he's not able to unload these guys?
For me, I think it's the name Lamar Miller that people don't trust. But he's been great. He gets a fair amount of touches. He gets the goal line touches, and he's cheap. I guess I don't understand why people aren't jumping, other than maybe Evan just wants a little too much for it. I don't know what he hasn't offered to me, but
right.
That could be. I don't know. I'd love to have Lamar Miller on my team. Evan, send him my way.
I have a source that says he offered him to Andy for I forget who, for somebody else, and Andy said he doesn't. Well, I don't want to get into the trade speculation, but he did offer him to Andy. And I can't remember who we'd offered him for him. If I look at Andy's team, I can probably tell you, but he was very upset by the Brandon Cooks trade because of it. Actually, it was for Gronk, I think, at the time. Lamar Miller and somebody else for Gronk, I think is what he said. So I don't know what we think of that. Loves Gronk. Yeah, but you think he'd love Vereen too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then back to and then C.J. Spiller continues to be the C.J. Spiller that for some reason everyone believes in and everyone loves, yet never has done anything to warrant the C.J. Spillerness of himself.
He used them against me in several of a championship game in the past, and he was pretty good then.
So many championship games I've been in. Fantasy is so unlucky for me. All right, touchdown Jesus. Sorry, Anthony. That was first world fantasy problems. I don't know. What is that? First fantasy problems. Touchdown Jesus is our last team here. This team has been on fire. They've been a freight train these past few weeks. And I think we said kind of early in the season that once this team gets healthy and things start going their way, and they're still not even healthy yet. He's still got Calvin Johnson on his bench, and this team's putting up freaking 130 points a week right now, and that's without Calvin Johnson. But Anthony, is there any stopping this team? I mean, are they the clear favorite right now to win it all?
Clear favorite, but no, they're strong and they're gonna go deep, and they have, I think, the secret weapon against Dave. If they ever have to go and play Dave, they have T.Y. Hilton there, which will suck up all those Andrew Luck points.
That's right.
As long as Phillip Rivers keeps playing at the caliber that he's playing at, and then Calvin comes back, I think he'll be good. And and Matt Forte's on a bye, so I missed that one, but yeah, he's got a lot of injuries and bye weeks right now, so his starting lineup isn't too good. But when those guys come back, yeah, he's.
I don't know. I mean, Monty Ball's whatever. I mean, he's got Ronnie Hillman, right? So if Monty Ball's out, it's not like it hurts him at all. Hillman's actually better than Ball.
Yep.
His last so just running through his schedule. Sorry, Nick, we'll jump to you here in a second, but just running through his schedule since week 4, right? Week 4, 110. Then he had 98. Then he had 137. Then 122, and then 162. I mean, this team's just rolling right now. It's absurd what they're doing to teams, and unfortunately, they've got you next, Nick. So what do you think of your matchup you got here?
Yeah, I'm out of the playoffs. The fire sale start. He's going to steamroll me too. No. I mean, you look at this team, and it's his wide receiver. His wide receivers right now are Bryant, Hilton, and Hopkins, and Calvin Johnson's on his bench because he's hurt. I mean, he's got Hillman. He's got. I mean, Mark Ingram is the only thing that you don't really like on this.
Yeah, and even Ingram.
Rivers,
what did he have? 170 yards last week.
Up here, and it's he has Rivers and Hilton and Hopkins and Gates on a bye in week 10. It's that's fine. I'll just put in Newton and Ball and Matt Forte and Calvin Johnson instead. Are you serious?
Yeah, in Mark Ingram's game last week, he had 172 yards and a touchdown. So, or 2 touchdowns.
I mean, it's just that's whatever. Good job, Richard.
Oh no, 1 touchdown. Yeah. So Yeah, great team. I think they have established themselves as the clear favorite right now, and they're doing this without the best receiver in the game. Well done, sir. Not much else we could say on that one. So let's get to our power rankings here, guys, and close this thing out. Hopefully, Nick. Slow clap.
Yeah.
Oh, I have one other league announcement. The trade deadline for the league. I think we kind of, a lot of people kind of got one extra week this year because I believe the NFL week started 1 week early this year, and we didn't adjust the trade deadline accordingly. So I think we're getting one extra week. But the trade deadline, I believe, is November 12th. That's the last Wednesday before the waivers process. So we get another 2 weeks.
Right. So make your deals. I mean, that gives you an extra week or two to figure out if you're going to be in it. So that's nice. Hopefully there'll be a frenzy. I want to see a frenzy at the trade deadline. Give me all your expensive good players. Somebody's got to take TDJ down. He can't win again. Somebody must do it, and it should be me.
I can't handle if Merrill has a trophy. We cannot function.
You just say that because you're the only one who's never won a playoff game, along with me, Nick. So, and I've been in the league way longer than you. So,
a year.
All right. Was it a year? Like 2, maybe.
Was it 2?
I don't know. All right, power rankings. Let's get to those. And Nick, since we started with you and you had first pick in the draft, we'll start with Anthony on this. So,
All right.
Got my
Andy,
hopes up, and then you crushed them.
Yeah, exactly.
Andy, you're still in number 12. I'm sorry. Choops 11, Assassins at 10, 9 at PBJ. Now at PBJ. Sex Cannons at 8. That's quite the dip. That's the lowest I think I've ever played at Everton. And then Iron Pirate at 7.
Oh, you bastard!
Oh.
Wow. All right. I'll go first here. We'll just go in reverse order of the draft. So, at 12 I had the Wigné. At 11 I had the Choop. I think that might be a pretty common thing we've got going on here. At 10 I have Anthony, but I've got EBS at 10 right now.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe when Calvin Johnson comes back and Stafford starts putting up points again, I'm going to move you up. But right now, I don't know. At 9, Assassins. At 8, I've got PBJ. And at 7, I've got the Sex Cannons.
Okay. Wigné's, Choop, and Assassins. No surprise there. Okay. The next 6 picks are really just... I found in the order in which I saw your team because there's no rhyme or reason for this. I think that everyone's just in this group together.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So here I have Duplex, Hillers, and me.
Okay, so Duplex at 9, Hillers at 8, and you at 7.
And then me at 7.
All right, Anthony, bring us home.
That's pretty high for Duplex. I'm surprised at that. All right, so then I have at 6 the EBS, 5 I have Dad Dicks, 4 is Hillers, 3 is Duplex, 2 is TDJ, and 1 are the Black Widows.
Interesting. Yeah, that is high. Why do you have the Duplex so low there, Nick?
Again,
No rhyme or reason.
And I think I didn't actually realize what having Andrew look on his team meant. So you could probably switch Duplex and one of the other teams. In the league.
Okay.
All right, hold on. Give me a second and let me switch that. Just did it.
Okay, done. 6, I've got Iron Pirate Redux here, I think. At 4, I've got Hiller's Upside. At 3, I've got the Duplex of Mediocrity. At 2, I have the Black Widows, and at 1, I have TDJ.
Wow.
At 6, I have EBS. 5, I have Sex Cannons. 4 is PBJ. And then these 3, again, order in which I saw you.
Brett at 4?
I do have Brett at 4.
He's 11th in points 11th in the breakdown.
I maybe need to redo this.
Okay. Well.
Dad Dicks, TDJ. All right, and to prove how badly I didn't look at this, I have the Hitman as number 1.
Wow. Is this last year?
I did not look at this at all. I just have the Hitman as the number 1 team.
You should change your name back, Mike.
I'm not doing that at all, ever. So the Black Widows is not changing. whoever gave me that name, I appreciate it because
You're welcome.
yeah, thanks.
I think that was a Nick and Anthony production there.
Yeah, that's very much appreciated. So anyway, that's gonna do it, guys. So thanks for joining us. We still have whoever that one guy is. He's still watching apparently. So thanks for that. And Nick, thanks for hosting. Anthony, thanks for hosting.
Word.
And we wish everybody out there happy Halloween. Be safe. Don't run any kids over. Drive safe through your neighborhoods. And for Anthony, for Nick, I'm going to sign off. And we will talk to you guys later.
Peace out.